very easy to work with. So we have this API that gives you the positions of your bones, and then a few high-level ideas like whether you're pinching or not, or whether you're grabbing and holding onto something, or whether you're swiping your hand through the air. And we provide all that data and just sort of dump it out like you might get the position of a mouse cursor, but instead it's with every joint in your hand. And that sort of gives a lot of fun and very organic data to work with, which I think is quite exciting. But I won't go into all that right now. What we try and do is make a modular plugin library, particularly for the web, to make it easy to add hands to a web page or to move them over to some other place. And so we have a whole bunch of those, a couple of which I'll show real quick here. One is the hand. You can add it to a page, like a few lines of code, and then you can just move around and stuff like that. But then you might wonder, okay, I've got a hand in my web page, and I can change colors of it, but what should I actually do with a hand? And this is a very open-ended question, especially in virtual reality. And one thing you might do is, we're all familiar with buttons. So we have a little buttons library here that allows you to push things and move them around. But this is all sort of, I mean, we're all pretty familiar with a button, and there's many, many, many more questions out there into sort of what else can you do? And this is a vast, vast field that I'm just sort of starting to realize. And what I noticed is that you break it down into two realms. One either of physical interaction, where you touch something and move it explicitly with your own hands. And one of a little bit more abstract gesture, saying, you know, I want that over there, or, you know, something. This is what physical manipulation might look like. Everything is a handle. Here you are in your virtual world, and you can sort of touch everything and move it somewhere, and when you touch it, it moves the way you expect it to move, and things like that. And this is pretty exciting to me because it goes into this sort of technical rabbit hole of, okay, well, things should bounce, or maybe you've got a river and there's fog, and you should sort of see the fluid flow going over my fingers. So there's a lot of very cool, and that's what I mean when I say organic data, is sort of, you can add a lot of realism and fluidity to a scene if you really get quite deep into it. The opposite of that, or somewhat different from that, I should say, is abstract gestures, where instead of touching things and moving them directly, you're waving your hands and thinking about that thing over there and saying, I want it to change like that. And here you don't need physics, but you do need the computer to somehow magically know what it is you're pointing at or thinking about or meaning by whatever you're doing with your hands. But it's pretty exciting if you can make it work. So that's it. That's a couple of things that I like about LeapMotion. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Yep. Elliot, you there? Come on up, Elliot. Elliot's both the director of our show tonight. He put together the selection committee, an elite group. He's just going to say a little bit about, you know, how did we get what we got, what you're seeing today?
We got what we got as a result of an enormous response from artists all over the world. We literally had dozens and dozens of submissions, which made the whole process of picking a program, selecting a program, sort of a daunting issue. But it couldn't have really been done without the participation of a really incredible group of people joining me on the selection committee. The first was Mark Pesce. Mark, of course, is one of the foremost innovators in the entire world of WebGL technology. We had Clark Soprinovich, one of the great musical figures in the Bay Area, a renowned composer whose works have been performed in venues around the world. And of course, Noah Cowan, the very talented executive director of the incredible, just completed San Francisco International Film Festival, who joined us in this selection committee. So this was an incredibly formidable group of people, and an enormous amount of effort was put forth to put together the tightest, most interesting show we could. So I just wanted to give a major shout out to these folks. I know Clark and Noah are here in the audience. Maybe give them a nice little hand. And the only thing I can add to that is we are about to start the second half of our show, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much.